is fun to just sustain. It's so satisfying. Listen to all those notes just tumbling. Let's go slower. It's a fun little party trick. The alternate string pull-off is a banjo-centric phrase, and we're going to take a deep dive on it today. Welcome to Banjo Quest. Now, this is the first public video in a while. Kind of feels cool to be back, but I haven't been idle. I've been making videos just for my patrons, so most of my videos and content, my tabs, my ebooks are all just for patrons. If you want in on that, if you want to check out what it's all about, now is a great time. We just finished up an entire module, several months of work over on Patreon, all surrounding one of my favorite tunes, Little Pink. But now we're starting a new module. Now's a good time to join. Check it in the link below, and we'll see you over there. All right, I am tuned to double C. So grab a banjo, and I'm gonna thank Akeen, one of our community members over on Patreon. He designed this incredible grab a banjo GIF. It's one of our mottos over on my Patreon, Banjo Quest. We're always telling each other to grab a banjo and get playing. So thank you, Akeen, it's beautiful. The first thing we need to do is define terms so you're familiar with what we're talking about. The alternate string pull-off is simply pulling off a string that we're not striking with the striking hand. I'll give you one example. So this is going to be a downstroke on the open third string, pulling off the second string, doing a downstroke on the first string, and a fifth string strike on the next upstroke. 4 eighth notes. So today you're going to learn why the aspo is so important. You're going to learn what makes a good aspo, and then I'm going to give you exercises so you can perfect your own alternate string pull-off and begin to deploy it everywhere. I see 4 reasons why the aspo is an essential component to any clawhammer player's repertoire or bag of tricks. The first is you can create an ascending series of notes up in pitch using the alternate string pull-off because it's pulling off an adjacent string after your downstroke string. So you get this ascending pitch run by using an alternate string pull-off. So melodically, it's a really handy tool to have in your tool chest. Number 2, rhythmically, it gives you access to this 8th note density. So if I take a bum diddy pattern, bum diddy, I can fill that one gap, that 8th note gap that is present in the bum ditty with an alternate string pull-off. And then we create this, what we call a bump-a-ditty sound, which is this very smooth, beautiful, rolling pattern of 8th notes. And the added benefit of this is it adds a lot of note density to your phrasing, but even cooler than that is it does give you access to high tempo. So you'd think that adding the left hand would create a slowdown in your tempo, but I find that unloading some of the 8th note work to my fretting hand allows me to achieve really fast tempos like this. Go slow to fast. So it can really help you get these previously unthought of speeds in your own playing because you're offloading some of the work to that left hand. So I would consider this all sort of rhythmic and flow. Second reason why the aspo is really important. Third reason, this is kind of a weird one, but I'm gonna tell you anyway. I think of the aspo as sort of the microcosm of clawhammer. It's like the clawhammer dictionary. It is requiring some work from your striking hand. It's requiring some work from your fretting hand. And if those gears, if those two hands are not perfectly in sync, you won't be able to do a good aspo. So in order to get a good alternate string pull-off pattern flowing, your ducks have to be in order. And that's why I think of the aspo as an incredible practice tool, a way to bootstrap your own technique to cleaner phrasing, faster play, and more accurate 8th note creation. And 4, and this is probably the weirdest of the 4 reasons why I think the aspo is important, and that is the esoteric nature of the aspo. It's sort of a strange musical oddity. I don't know of many instruments that deploy an alternate string pull-off. In fact, I can't really think of one other instrument aside from the banjo that does it on the regular. And for us, it's really become this sort of meat and potatoes technique. It's not obscure in the banjo world, but it is very strange outside of the banjo world. So in that way, it has this ineffable coolness to it. When you play the aspo, you're taking advantage of the things that the banjo does best. So you're playing the most banjo-y. And that's super cool. No other instrument really gets to do a whole lot of it. So it's kind of a special thing for us to do. And that's sort of the esoteric nature of the alternate string pull-off. All right, so now you hopefully want to learn how to do the alternate string pull-off, or at least want to perfect the alternate string pull-off in your own playing. Maybe you've been playing it for a while. What are the 2 elements that I think are important when you're working on your alternate string pull-off? The first is going to be, for me, timing is always top of my list. It's the crown jewel of whatever I'm working on. So that 8th note, that rolling, spacious 8th note arpeggio or pattern needs to be in place for there to be a really good sounding alternate string pull-off. This means striking hand and fretting hand coordination have to be tightly orchestrated by the player. So this rolling 8th note pattern is going to teach you how to synchronize those right and left hands really tightly. So you're going to want to pay attention, number 1, to your timing. The second element to an excellent aspo is a nice, big, robust pull-off. What I always think when I'm working on my technique is I don't want an audience member to hear the technique. I want them to hear the notes. So I want it to be almost confusing for a lay audience member what I'm doing on the instrument. I don't want them to say, oh, that sounds like a pull-off, or oh, that sounds like a hammer-on. I just want them to hear the notes. So here's our problem with the aspo, right? We've got a downstroke with a hard surface, the back of our nail. Then we've got to compete with that driving percussive stroke with the back of the nail with a measly little pull-off. You can hear if I'm not organized with my technique with that left hand or my fretting hand, it's a very anemic sound compared to a big, robust downstroke. Then we have another downstroke, big, burly downstroke, and then we've got a big upstroke. That 5th string loves to ring out with the big upstroke on the thumb. So that measly little pluck with the fretting hand has got to compete with that giant engine of clawhammer. So what you want to make sure you're doing when you're playing the aspo is dialing in that pull-off so it can compete with the striking hand. And I'm gonna show you how that works today. I'm gonna show you how to do it. All right, now you know what to listen for in your own alternate string pull-offs. Great timing and nice evenness with a nice strong pull-off. So let me show you how to practice this technique. What I like to do is create a series of stepping stones. So especially if you're new to the aspo, we're gonna break it all down into its components. Even if you've been playing the alternate string pull-off for years, I recommend doing this to sort of examine your chops and see how the pieces all fit together. You can learn a lot from this process, and then you can take this mode of thinking about clawhammer and you can apply it to other techniques that you're working on or other phrases. So let me walk you through what I do. The first thing I do is I release the banjo with my fretting hand because I want to know what this pattern is going to be like under the hood. I want to look at my engine and see what pattern is underpinning this 4-note alternate string pull-off. So let me refresh you on the move. The whole pull-off is 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 notes, 4 8th notes. All right, now let me delete the left hand, my left hand, the fretting hand, and let me play you the pattern that's underpinning the aspo. That's it. Yeah, it's crazy, right? The pattern that underpins an aspo is the faithful bum ditty. So that's a bum ditty on, that's a bum on the open third string. And a ditty on strings 1 and 5. This is a 1/4 and 2/8 pattern. So it makes sense that we would want to work on that bum ditty. So we'd want to play it at a variety of different speeds and make sure it's nice and clear. So I'd play it slow. 1, 2, 3, 4. Keep that hand nice and soft. Play it at a medium pace. 1, 2, 3, 4. Bum, diddy, bum, diddy, bum. And play it at a faster pace. So that's just a way for you to check in with your striking hand, understand the underpinnings of the entire 4-note pattern, and it can really help you dial in or focus on problems that you might have missed if you weren't isolating that striking hand. All right, let's now isolate our fretting hand. So a lot of people overlook this step. They'll get the engine rolling and then they'll be like, all right, I'm good. I'm gonna add that pull off. I'm off to the races, which is fine. But in order to really hear what your pull-offs are doing, I like to spend a little bit of time figuring out the mechanics and getting the most out of that pull-off. Remember, we've got to get that little motion with our little finger to compete with this huge driving percussive engine that is present in the clawhammer idiom. So it pays to isolate that fretting hand. So what I'm gonna do is I'm not even gonna think about time anymore. I'm just going to rest my hand on the top of the banjo here, steady it, and I'm going to pluck. I'm going to pluck with my index finger. I'm going to pluck that second string, and I'm going to pluck at the second fret, and I'm going to drive through into my first string. So remember, we've talked about this on the channel before. I've got a bunch of videos about this. You can search for them. What you don't want to do is pull off and out. I pull straight across. I'm going to try to position that so you can really see it. I bring that index finger straight across and I dead end into the next adjacent string, in this case, the first string. And that first string is my stop. It's like a backstop. So I'm getting big follow through and a nice big pluck. The other thing I'm doing is I'm allowing my hand to recruit additional fingers during the pull-off process. A lot of folks think that fretting is just a single finger exercise, and what I've learned over the years is that it really helps to not isolate the finger and think of a fretting move as a full hand motion. So in this case, I'm letting those other fingers come with me, especially my middle finger. I'm getting a nice big sound. See if I can, I'm trying to do two things at once. I'm trying to show you my mechanics, but I'm also trying to recruit other fingers, and it's kind of difficult. So let me not cheat as much and show you what I would really do in the pull-off. I'm nice and deep in the hand, and I pull straight into my first string. Almost like a rubber band. I'm pulling that second string rubber band and letting it snap back into place. And that gives me a nice, big, loud pull off. So it's just something you want to practice all by itself. You can count it 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, or you can do it twice. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, would I spend hours doing this? No, I would not. You're gonna drive yourself crazy. Don't do that, but just check in with how those pull-offs are working. And the interesting thing about the alternate string pull-off is that it is fret agnostic. So check this out. I'm going to return to our original 4-note pattern. I don't have to pull off at the second fret here. I don't have to use my index finger. I can pull off with my middle finger at the 3rd fret, my ring at the 4th. I can pull up, all up and down the neck on that second string. Doesn't make a difference Because it's an alternate string pull-off. We are not striking that second string, we're just plucking it. Very cool, very neat. That's one of the interesting elements of the alternate string pull-off. Another thing I'll say is pulling into your palm is really good, or when I'm playing fretless, sometimes I'll sort of rotate a little bit because I'm in more of a side-on fretting stance. Because on fretless, I drive with my fingernails so much that when I do alternate string pull-offs, it's almost like this motion versus a pull motion into my palm. So if you're on a fretless banjo, or if you tend to have a more rotated out fretting position, you may want to just add a little bit of rotation. Keep it small because you want speed, you want efficiency, so don't overcorrect or overdo any of these motions. All right, so we've isolated the striking hand, we've isolated the fretting hand. Now we've got to put these all together. So what we're gonna do is go nice and slow. We're gonna get comfortable. We're gonna drive into the third string. On the upstroke, we're going to do our pull off. On the next downstroke, we strike down on the first string, and then we're going to do a fifth string strike. Now, what is the secret to coordinating all these moves? Well, I call it the set stroke. And the set stroke is the first strike of an ASPO pattern. I call it the set stroke because it is supposed to cue you and remind you that your fretting hand needs to drive into the instrument simultaneous to the first downstroke. So watch, that sounds confusing. Let me show you how it goes. My first strike is the set stroke, so I say set, both hands, watch them, both hands set into the instrument. This is gonna make sure, and this is the most important thing to get the rhythm right, this is going to make sure your pull-off finger is in its place before you need to pull off. If you're just in time, it's already too late, if that makes any sense. So you need to be there ahead of time. This is a lot of fretting in general, and this is why the ASPO is so good for your technique in general, is because it's teaching you these big principles of great clawhammer. Your finger has to be on that string well ahead of time to do the pull off in time. Does that make sense? I think that makes sense. All right, let's try it together. We're going to say, you say this with me, set, pull, and that's on the upstroke. Do your upstroke on when you say pull. Let's do it again. We're going to say set, pull. Do that one more time. Set, pull, and now you're home free. It's just a D-T. Right? The second half of an ASPO pattern is just a ditty. So only the first half, those first two notes, are the complicated part. And that's why I think that this can be accessible to even a beginner. This should be on the menu for any beginning banjo player all the way until mastery. All right, let's put this together with some flow and confidence. We're still gonna use our banjo cheat code. That's my way of saying the vocalizations that we use. We're going to say it together. Set, pull, di-ti. Now set, pull, di-ti. Again, set, pull, di-ti. One more time. Set, pull, di-ti. Now we gotta just speed this up and you're home free. Let's go a little faster. 1, 2, 3, 4. Set, pull, di-ti. Set, pull, di-ti. Set, pull, di-ti. Set, pull, di-ti. All right, way back when I was teaching my Banjo Blitz series, I had a lesson on slow practice, flow practice. So you carve out some time in your practice session to really drill into the details and go crawling through these patterns like we just did. And then you say, all right, now I've got to get some flow here because this is all sounding like exercises and not music. So I'm going to stop vocalizing the syllables. I'm just going to start playing it. And I want you to join me. We're going to play a little bit faster and we're going to take this up gradually in speed. Same pattern. Let's go. 1, 2, 3, 4. And out. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's go faster. 1, 2, 3, 4. May need to get quieter. 1, 2, 3, 4. Faster. 1, 2, 3, 4. Here's where it really starts to come together as a musical phrase. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, at any time, if you reach your limit and you can't go any faster, go back to slow practice or dissect it. Go back to what is the striking hand doing? Go back to your bum ditty. What is your pull-off finger doing? Is that mechanic working? Remember, in order for you to go quickly on this pattern, you've got to be really efficient with that striking and fretting hand. They have to be in sync and you have to be soft, soft, soft and relaxed. In order to build that relaxation, you may need to spend some time at the slower tempos and then bump it back up. It can be a painstaking process, but that's how we learn to do these physical things on the instrument. Let's go faster. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now it's really blending together. 1, 2, 3, 4. Faster. 1, 2, 3, 4. This is fun to just sustain. It's so satisfying. Listen to all those notes just tumbling. Let's go slower. It's a fun little party trick. Now there are lots of forms of the alternate string pull-off. There are lots of modifications you can do. This is sort of just your gateway into the alternate string pull-off world. I would recommend just woodshedding that until it's really comfortable and automatic before going on to things like M-skipped alternate string pull-offs or alternate string pull-offs that are deep in the inner strings, or alternate string pull-offs that are out of chord shapes. Those are all a little bit harder and require multiple fingers on the board and lots of other little extra steps. So focus on the easiest one first and then work out from there. All right, and that's it. This is something I work on every day. I love to just run these patterns. I find them to be meditative and satisfying to play. And once you get them in your hands, they will start appearing in your playing in unpredictable ways. So keep working on it. Work on it for the long term. It's a marathon, not a sprint. You got to really put the time in over long term to get this smooth and confident. But before long, you will have a good alternate string pull-off. And if you want more information about this and some tablature and all the good stuff that we do over on Banjo Quest, the link is in the description below. I hope to see you over there, and I'll see you next time on Banjo Quest.